Welcome to the fundamentals of real estate. I'm your host today, Angela Dillmon with Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield, and this is my wealth building partner,
Glen Calvin at Guild Mortgage.
And we're here to help you build wealth,
live your dream lifestyle,
and leave legacies
important.
that matter. And today, I have a question for you,
Yes.
Glenn.
Go ahead.
Because, my head hurts when it comes to all this lending stuff and all this stuff. What in the world is the difference between a note and a deed of trust? That's what I want to know today. Because when we get into closing, we're going to get into this stack of papers. And all I can say is, it's just too thick for me to read, Glenn. I need somebody to explain to me. So, when you get to closing day, it's going to be a fun day. But it also has a little bit of mental to go with it. But Glenn makes it easy. Now,
I would say none of it's easy.
No, you make it easy.
Oh,
I've
thanks.
sat in closings with him. He will go through this entire document, page by page, and explain it to you. Now, you can read every line if you want. You can get it ahead of time if you want.
Yes, encourage you. Yeah,
Glenn's had people come in his office, sit down, and read it, and he'll go over it with you.
I will. Just
But
ask me
on
questions.
closing day, which most people really don't want to sit there and read, I don't know. How many pages is this, Glenn?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's like more than 50 pages, I think.
Oh, it's probably a couple hundred pages. When you look at all the documents, the note I think is only 4 pages, and the deed is about, I want to say, 35 or 40.
Oh, okay. So, again, the standard should be your loan officer should attend closing.
Yes.
Glenn attends them all. He will explain as much or as little as you want. If you've
So
been through it
important.
before, you
Yeah.
might not need it. If it's your first time, you really may want to go through and understand. But first, tell me what in the world is the difference between a note and a deed of trust?
So
Because you're making me
think of-
sign both these
Think
things.
of the note. Yes. Think of the note, and it's only going to be 4 pages. I brought one here.
Okay.
And it's more of your contract, your promise to pay. It's going to dictate the terms that we're loaning this money
My
to you.
interest rate?
It's going to have your interest rate on there. It's going to say how long the term is. Is it 30? Is
When
it
my
20,
payments
40?
due?
When your first payment's due.
Okay.
It's going to say that there's no penalty to prepay. So
oh, yeah.
it's been
so
a long
you know
time.
what? There are loans that if you try
Not
to
many.
If you try to pay the loan balance in full,
Right.
will charge you money. It's right, and so that's called a
Prepayment penalty. Right.
which most loans don't have now. So if a loan officer tries to give you one that has a prepayment penalty, know that is just really not the standard these days.
And it's interesting because Guild has an amazing, he's head of capital markets, David Batney, a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells us in other countries, this isn't the standard. In most other
No.
countries, they have a prepayment penalty.
And you can't get a 30-year mortgage in most countries.
Right,
You can't get
that's
one in
crazy.
Canada.
Well, I didn't know that.
You cannot get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage.
So what it means, no prepayment
This is
penalty,
amazing.
is that I can add 1 extra penny to this loan and pays the principal down quicker, or I could pay it all off tomorrow.
There you go.
Or most
Fantastic.
importantly, if the rates go down, I can refinance it to the lower rate.
There you go. Now,
So-
why do I need a note and a deed of trust?
All right, we'll get to that.
Okay.
The deed of trust is what secures the note to the property.
All right.
So a
that's
couple
gonna
other
get
things about the
recorded.
note, let's just
Okay.
be clear on. It's going to say in there, and it's not a whole lot, that the loan charges are under the maximum set by state law, that if there's 2 people borrowing money, they are both jointly obligated.
Well, so if
if
one
it's
of you
a-
doesn't pay, it doesn't mean the
Right.
other one only owes half.
It
of
also doesn't
You
mean-
owe all of it.
Right,
That's
and
what
it
I'm
doesn't
saying,
mean
right?
that my wife owes half and I owe the other half. No, we both owe it all
We
together.
both it all together.
Right, and it's going to say that waivers are any side agreements you would make with the lender. We talked about this beforehand, that it's easier to negotiate with a lender than a landlord if you're having difficulties. But if you do a note modification, you do forbearance, it does not negate the note. So the note's still going to be in charge, are still enforced. And it also says in here, interesting, that it's a uniform secured note that meets all state and federal guidelines. And another important provision that's in the note and the deed says oral agreements are meaningless. So you can pick up the phone and work something out with the lender over the phone to do a forbearance or a modification, but until it's signed in writing, this is the document that they're going to
That's true
enforce.
for real
And
estate
this
in
says,
general.
right,
Not written, not said.
right. So
Just
then,
so you know.
now we're going to get to the deed of trust. So there's 2 different types of deed. There's the general warranty deed.
Now that's different.
Right,
That
that
has nothing
conveys
to do
the
with loan.
ownership.
That's like
Right.
the seller signing the house over to you. It's
Right.
called a general warranty deed. And it's kind of confusing, but the deed of trust, now what is it going to do that this little note thing didn't do? Is it still
The
going
deed
to
of
tell
trust,
me my payment and stuff?
no, it's not going to have anything to do. The deed of trust is with the security instrument that ties the note to to the property.
So if I try to sell the property,
You go on, it's recorded at the county courthouse, the warranty
Right.
deed and the deed of
they're
trust.
like, no, you can't
Right.
sell us until you pay this Mr.
And
Lender
tell you,
off.
right, this is gonna
So,
take precedence.
If they don't have this, they don't have the right to collect if you ever sell that house.
Right,
Or
right.
just stop making payments, really.
And this really
Right.
goes into a lot of detail, a lot
How
of
many
fine
pages
print.
is that thing?
Here, I think it's numbered. I used to remember it.
Oh,
Let's
it's
see.
not numbered?
It
Okay.
is. No, I think
It's a
it's
lot.
35, 40 pages.
But Glenn will actually, here's one of my favorites.
Oh, it's
right here.
18 pages. I'm sorry. 18 pages.
One of my favorites that's in there is you can't store hazardous waste
Hazardous
on
waste
the
ex-
property, so we used to always tease them, no dirty diaper.
No meth labs.
No meth
But it
labs.
says in there, except those for normal residential, and if you, residential maintenance. And if you think about it, I always say this, if I were to loan you $20, I know you would pay it back and I wouldn't be worried about having a security answer, but I'm loaning you hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
We're gonna make sure. And the good news too, Angie, this isn't like special for each lender.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same on every, I don't know, every lender uses the same
So you're
documentation. This
saying
is
in
very
the state of
standard.
Missouri, it's a standard
Yes,
note and a standard deed of trust?
yes.
Am I allowed to use something that's not standard?
So this is gonna be prepared by the lender. So you're not
Yes.
going to be able to pick something out unless you.
No, I'm just saying, like, what if I was gonna loan, I was gonna be the bank and loan to my kids or something? Do I have to use
No,
that
you
standard?
can do whatever you want.
But most banks are gonna use
The
a
standard
standard
Deed of
note
trust.
and deed of trust, and they all pretty
Right.
much look the same. I don't think I've been to a closing with different lenders that looks any different.
No, and I've been a couple of places in my career, we've all used the same one. The other thing that's important is you couldn't, for example, at the closing table say, I don't agree to this provision and I'm just gonna scratch this out and initial it.
Can I do that?
You cannot make any changes. You can do whatever you want. You can't do it and borrow money from me or from Guild
From
Mortgage.
Bill, right?
Right, so if you want,
Right.
it's kinda like it's our ball, you gotta play by our rules. This is what we're gonna do.
So what's in there exactly?
The most important thing about the deed of trust, and a lot of it is common sense, if I loan you the money and you say I'm putting up my house as collateral, and this is what
Right.
uses the house as the collateral,
Right?
what happens, Angie, if I don't pay you back?
I don't know, Glenn. What does happen?
Well, I'm gonna take your house from you. I'm gonna sell it and get my money back. I mean, and at the closing, it's a happy time.
Right.
We don't want to be dour, but I was on a committee when I worked at a bank to help people that were in pre-foreclosure that were struggling. And they said, well, nobody ever told me that. Nobody ever explained this to me.
Right.
But it's common sense. Your house is collateral for the loan. If you do not pay the loan back, they can take the house from you.
Right.
They can sell it at the courthouse, and literally a sheriff, it doesn't happen often, but a sheriff can come to your house, move all the furniture and put it out in the street.
Ouch.
It's rare that
So
it goes
has
that
the
far.
whole process, because there
It
has
really
to be a
does.
notification
Yes.
process. They have to send you letters so far in
Right.
advance, all the things. So there's a whole process of
There's an
foreclosure in there.
acceleration
Is
and
that
a-
like half the document?
It probably, I would say at least 30%.
Okay, use 30. What
And a
else is in
lot
there?
of it's common sense. It says, that you're going to occupy this as your primary residence.
This is a big one, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And how soon do I need to move in?
60 days. The
60
deed of
days
trust.
from the signing of closing, you're agreeing to move into the house
Right.
and owner occupied it unless you've told the lender ahead of time that you're an investor, that you're not going to move in it. That's a different loan
Yes.
with different terms and different rates. This is so most people, when they owner occupy, they get a better rate.
They do. It's
They get
much better.
better terms on their
It's
loan.
a more secure loan because you're much less likely to walk away from the house you
From
own
the house,
than
it's
when you're
your
renting.
roof over your
And the
head.
question I always
Right.
get, how do they know? If I make my payment every month, how do they ever know?
Oh, they do come by.
No, it's not even
No.
that. Do you know how they know?
No.
It's the insurance. So the insurance is different on a non-owner occupied than it
That's
is, and the
true.
insurance agent will come by. And I've had people
That's
cancel
true.
their insurance because they say, we drove by your house and you're not living in it.
Ooh, the insurance. That's
That-
tricky.
Yeah.
What else is in there?
It says that you're going to maintain, preserve, and protect the lender's rights in the property. The lender has a right to inspect the property. And really, the reality is, if you make your payment between the 1st and the 15th every month, you're not going to hear a lot from the lender.
Right, it's when
It's
you
when you
stop.
start to get in trouble.
They want to know if you stop making payments, is that house even occupied? Like they can come by and check it out,
Yes.
right?
Mhm. And they want to look to make sure that it's maintained.
And it's maintained.
There's also a provision in there that we're dealing with a lot now. If there's a claim on the insurance, if it's over a certain amount, they're going to make that check out to you and Guild Mortgage. And Guild Mortgage is going to want proof that you're going to use that money to
like a
repair
roof.
the
like
roof.
a claim for a roof.
how many, we had a big hailstorm to go, I bet I've
Big
done
hailstorm,
work with
siding,
50 people.
gutters,
Yes.
all that thing.
So you have to take that check to Guild Mortgage, mail or whatever, they're going to endorse it. You got to send documents saying you're going to do that. I have a friend of mine, half his house burned down. So
Wow.
they have to do inspections, and they release that money as it's repaired. So it's a lot of common sense. It's stuff you
Right.
should understand. And you know, and Angie knows, on a first-time home buyer, I make it a point to go through this paragraph by paragraph on every closing, just because I think it's an adult thing. You
Right.
should understand what you're signing.
Right. What else is in there? Anything else interesting?
You know, I think we covered a lot of it. It's going to say when you pay it off, you're going to get a deed of release.
Yay.
And then they release the deed of
Happy
trust, and now,
day.
right.
There's something to be like.
Yeah,
make
and
fun
you don't
about.
own it.
Throw it in a fireplace and burn it.
Right, and it's
Same.
going to go into, if you do a modification or forbearance, that does not negate the deed of
Negate
trust.
that,
It's
the
still
deed of
enforced.
trust,
It's really
just like the
enforced.
note.
Right.
Okay.
And finally, just like the note, it's going to say there are no oral agreements. If you're
Right.
going to call and work something out, it doesn't negate the deed, and nothing is enforced until.
Not written.
Right.
And that's it.
So in addition to the deed,
Yeah.
there's also going to be some riders or attachments to the deed.
What?
Yes.
More paperwork?
Yes, more
What are
paperwork.
these riders and attachments?
So the most common one is a one for a planned unit development.
Okay, otherwise known as a PUD.
A PUD, which a PUD simply says that you live in a subdivision that has assessments and covenants.
Yeah, you have like a homeowners association,
Yes.
and they have rules and regulations.
They're
or
going to say you
indentures, we
can't
call
have
them.
farm animals, that you can't
Right.
fix your car in the front
Right.
seat. Always one, you can't take, my mom's, you can't take the trash out before 5 o'clock on Monday. It's a strange one. But it'll
Yeah.
just have the rules. And then it'll also have the HOA fees, the assessments. And because they are alienable items, that's the attachment that's going to say
Right,
that.
so you agree to pay those and keep those paid up to date.
Right.
Aren't they agreeing to pay my real estate taxes too, whether you pay them or not?
Yes.
Whether they're escrow or not, it's an agree to pay, make
Yep.
sure that those are paid, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and insurance too. And if you don't pay the insurance, it says in here the lender can put their own insurance on the property.
Yeah, if it's not paid or you cancel it and they find out about it, then
Right. They're gonna force place insurance and they're gonna send you a big bill.
And it's gonna be expensive.
So some of the other riders, if it's rental property, there's a rider in there that says that if you don't pay the loan back, the rents can be assigned to the lender.
Ooh.
There's FHA, if we're doing an FHA loan, they have their own riders that say everything's an arm's length transaction and that you've reviewed and had inspections, so.
Right, and the appraiser's not an inspector.
So I think the bottom line is if you really want to review these documents prior to closing, which I encourage, have your lender send them to you, go over them, ask questions, and make sure that somebody's explaining it and you understand what you're signing before you sign it.
There you go. Have your loan officer show up.
Yes, show up. And you know what? A lot of times when I'm doing, it's the third house they've bought in. We've got to the deed
Right.
of trust that Glenn, you've explained it before. I'm happy to sign it. Any
Okay.
changes?
Yeah.
And we'll go over the main sheet that shows the loan amount
Right.
and then the due dates, and then everything
Right.
else is just
And
going to
the
be about the
term,
same.
all that
Yeah.
stuff.
So don't be intimidated.
Whew, okay, I'm done having mentals. I want to have some fun
We're almost there.
next week.
All right,
We're
perfect.
gonna have any fun? Is there more?
We're
stuff
almost
to
done.
sign
We'll go
yet?
over the last little stuff and getting my keys and moving in.
There might be more stuff to sign. I'm
Not
just
much.
saying. Okay.
All right, thanks.
All right. Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you, Angie.
Thanks for joining us this week. Join us next week when we are happy, and maybe we'll get our keys.
We're getting closer.
All right. Give
All
us a like. Give us a share. Send us a question if you have one. All right. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.